Heroes of Might and Magic 2 is the second Heroes of Might and Magic game. It was released October 1996, and had an expansion called The Price of Loyalty, released 1997. Both were packaged together and sold as Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Gold in 1998. Though all the Heroes games play nearly identically, 2 kind of bridged the style between the first game and the rest of the series. It features 6 towns, 2 more than the previous game, and many creature dwellings had the option to upgrade, meaning your creatures could get better as the game went on. It also had the start of upgrading the castle in your town, which is a staple of the series, but kind of a little staple, I guess? A little staple? The game still had a very stylized, cartoony appearance, though the graphics were tweaked and tightened. There were a lot of UI changes. UI standing for user interface, meaning how the user, the player, interfaces or interacts with the game. That made the game a little easier to understand while having room for more to do. A lot of things like individual icons near the creature's stack number showing what spells were affecting that stack were consolidated to just changing colors to show whether an effect was beneficial or harmful. It's hard, it's a lot of words to explain it, but it's a simple thing when you see it. It's just a lot of little things like that, but they add up to make a more user-friendly experience, if not a more enjoyable one. Aside from that, the hero system was upgraded. Heroes can now pick from a variety of skills on level up, in addition to getting a point in one of their 4 hero skills, attributes, trait. Other new stuff included stuff like more than 4 maps, having choices for bonuses when starting a campaign map, and animated cutscenes giving you a better grasp of the storyline. Speaking of enjoyment, Heroes 2 is part of one of the big schisms in the Hero fanbase. Among Heroes fans, I've never seen more shit-flinging than when people start talking about whether Heroes 2 or 3 is better. Some people like the large amount of content added with 3. Other people like the refined stylization of 2. In fact, I think the majority of arguments I've seen for 2 being superior are based on things like the charm Heroes 2 has. And it's certainly fucking charming, as well as perhaps better balanced, because of the lower amount of content, is something else I've heard. But as I've said before, I'm not super knowledgeable of the intricacies of the game mechanics. I never played online or competitively, so balance doesn't mean anything to me. I personally always had 3 as my favorite, but the reasons for that were things like it was my first Heroes game, or I always had a disc handy so I could play it more as opposed to 2. I've been playing Heroes 1 and 2 recently for this show, of course, and I found that 2 is just as good as 3. There are some differences, but they're just differences, not points to go towards making one better than the other. I mean, I had the first 3 games installed on my laptop right now. They're all really good, I promise. And anybody can have them all installed. You can play one and go play the other one when you get bored. And even though they play nearly the same, there's differences enough to make it worth it. I just really like everything about Heroes 2 and Heroes 3. I wouldn't pick one over the other. I wouldn't fight about it. I would just put it in a little nest and snuggle them and regurgitate up worms when they get hungry and peep at me. Peep, peep. Come watch me suck at Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Alright, welcome to Wesley sucking at Heroes of Might and Magic 2. As you can see there, I've got the expansion also installed. Usually I do on these things, but I'm not going to play it also as usual. It has the neat little town alleyway menu. I like it a lot. I've also got the MIDI music going because I like it way better. We're looking at a cutscene here, which is new in this one compared to the first one. They had in that the brief, weird little intro. I'm going to just skip that. When I tested the game, I played the evil campaign, so I'm going to go ahead and play the good campaign for this playthrough here. Alright. First scenario, first campaign. Actually, same objectives as the evil one. There was a whole lot of, in the first 2 games, of reusing maps. I was playing the first one, and I don't think on the video I even got through the first map. So while I'm in the town here, building stuff, maybe I can show you some of the things that have changed. So you see here, upgrade Foundry. Foundry is one of my creature dwellings, so now I can upgrade the dwellings of creatures, making the creatures better, which is neat. I've got this thing here, Captain's Quarters. So instead of having to leave a hero at the castle, I can kind of have It's a weak pseudo hero there doing stuff. Upgrade the castle options. The towns are all in this game. They're more distinct from each other than they are in like Heroes 3. Heroes 3, everything was kind of standardized, and I think maybe that helped make it so there wasn't so much of one faction being better than another one or something like that. Of course, it still happened. Like, the Necromancer faction would always wreck face because of necromancy that gives you skeletons after every battle. I think I can take on a pack of battle dwarves. Shouldn't be an issue. You see on the fight map here, it's a lot bigger. And the sprites are all kind of more high quality. I don't know if I want to say higher res, because the whole game is still running at the same resolution. Oh, they're going to kill my birds. There's a lot more things on the map to interact with. Things like that little tent that I just went to that gave me a spell. Stuff like that. There's just a lot more of everything in this game compared to the last one. For example, also, this town that I have on the faction that I'm a part of is a new one compared to the first game. It wasn't in there. Oh, also, maybe I should mention why the game series and the spin-off series, Heroes of Might and Magic and Might and Magic are called that. It's because they kind of put this emphasis on might / magic, which incorporate the kind of skills that heroes get. Speaking of skills, I just got to level up, and they've added this. So knowledge +1 is the 4 kind of hero skills that you get. Knowledge and spell power are the 2 magic skills, and then strength, attack, maybe, attack and defense probably, are the might skills. And in Heroes 1, there were 2 might factions, and so probably one was attack focused, the other one was defense focused, and then there were ballistics. Probably knowledge, the other was probably spell power. This one, there's 6, and I'm not sure if they still have that same one faction for every skill thing. Maybe a couple are kind of split between both. There's an attack one, a defense one, and one that's kind of attack and defense. Progresses kind of similar rates in both. Anyway, also new in this are the secondary hero skills. I always go for logistics because that's super useful. Another thing that was added in this game that's super helpful, super fucking helpful, is the marketplace. It probably says here, let you convert one type of resource to another, meaning you can like trade any of the, the kind of big resources, like ore I didn't have in mind, but like I had a sawmill, so I've got tons of wood because I wasn't really building anything. And in the first one, any of the resources, if you weren't buying stuff or building buildings, like if you had your town built up to where you wanted it, you'd have like, tons and tons of all the resources, but then you wouldn't be having enough gold because you'd be spending gold every week trying to buy creatures. But now, in 2, you can build the marketplace, and that lets you, like, I could trade my 62 wood for a bunch of gold if I was a little short for something or other. And I'd be able to get more creatures with that. The upgrades, I definitely like them a lot. I like having, because zombies suck, for example. They're super slow. They don't do a lot of damage. A normal zombie would maybe be able to walk to about there where my cursor is. The mutant zombie could go further, and that's because it's upgraded. It probably does more damage, has higher defense, and things like that. When you upgrade things, a lot of times that's usually what happens, is just a couple of numbers go up. Usually that's all it takes. That can be pretty good. The costs will also go up, which may or may not be good. how much the cost goes up probably was conscious decisions on the parts of the developers. Ooh, what should I get? Archery. My wizards are ranged, and they're pretty good. They're like kind of my second highest tier creatures that I've got. Maybe I'll do that and make them a little better. That'd be neat. But then again, in Heroes 3, because of the towns being more standardized, everything got an upgrade in all the towns. And then a lot of times you're just left wondering, like, why did this particular thing get an upgrade at all? It was fine as it was, or it's useless and I'm not going to use it anyway, so why do I have the option to make it better, and it would still be pretty useless, and stuff like that. And that's probably one of the problems that people have with 3 and why they might prefer 2 over 3 is because standardization of things like that. It means that there's going to be things like upgrades for every creature, whether it makes sense or not. But then again, I'm playing Heroes 2, and the creatures that do and don't get upgrades don't seem to always make perfect 100% great sense all the time anyway. So anyway, as you can see up here on the map, this is a relatively huge map. It's going to take me forever to, explore the other half of it that I haven't really gotten to yet. And besides that, I think I've kind of said all of my stuff that I wanted to say. And hopefully any other differences in the games you could tell by looking and watching. It's definitely just everything in the game is improved over the first one. Just more variety. Let me show you this town real quick, because this is the other faction that was added. This is the undead faction. Then you got your skeletons and your zombies, and you got the castle with the giant glowy skull on top. It's very I guess He-Man-esque. Your mummies. Yeah, so I mean, just everything in this game it looks better, it plays better. I didn't really point out any of the menu differences, but there's slight differences in the buttons. I don't know if you noticed, but if I built in my town, there was a little X telling me that, because you can only build one building in your town per day, stuff like that. And so it's just a lot of really good improvements and stuff over the original. It is surprisingly similar to the third game. The only difference is things like the graphics and like some thematic stuff. But other than that, they've got witches' huts in the third one, and they are also kind of Baba Yaga-y with the chicken leg house, stuff like that. So this is kind of like, if you were going to get into the series and wanted to start like at the beginning, this would probably be the game you would want to start with, because the rest of the series is just like this, basically. And this is also, if you were wanting to start at the start, yeah, I'd say probably start here. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Yup!